Can we make a difference in just 4 days?
Okay, so day 3 is done. We had another great day. We spent 3.5 hours, so an hour on, an hour off, an hour on, an hour off, an hour on, and then they had a long break and came in just for a half hour this afternoon when I had a break with my regular students. And I think that it would be a lot better to space it out more, hour on, 2 hours off, hour on, 2 hours off, that kind of thing, but it just doesn't work with the tutoring schedule. So it is what it is. But she's very focused, very motivated. For the most part, wasn't too overwhelmed today, except maybe at the very end of that third hour, a little bit. I asked her if she wanted to just do something easy or if she wanted to persevere. And she said she wanted to persevere. So that's the kind of kiddo she is. So yeah, she's really motivated and very well focused. The first day we sequenced 15 things. The second day we sequenced 24. And today we got up to 36. So we're just making great progress. And we've definitely gained at least 1 year, if not 2 years, in the sequencing skills. She did start working Balavizex yesterday with the Balavizex tutor, and she too noted that there is such a poor working memory, which is part of that sequential piece, right? And you could check the video out that I have on Digispan working memory. In fact, I've got a couple of those out, but probably the foundational skill video explains it pretty well, and then the video on sequencing. Anyway, working memory is part of that sequential skill piece. So she's definitely really low in that. She can do one activity with the ball, but when the tutor comes in with the second ball and she has to keep track of 2 things, she just totally loses it. And it's even like that, like we're doing a marching exercise where she does the alphabet. She can do it just fine when the alphabet is easy, but when it gets harder towards the end, she loses it. And now she's getting better at that, since the first day. But when we add in the eyes closed, it starts getting much more difficult and her marching becomes much more erratic and sloppy. So again, it's improving, but that just shows that working memory piece that her brain is like that executive function. It's like she's working so hard that she can't keep track of everything. She can't keep track of crossing over and tapping her opposite knee while she marches, while she says the alphabet, especially when her eyes are closed and she has to keep her balance and stay in one place. I'm just thrilled with the phonemic awareness progress and the phonemic manipulation progress. That first day, I was very concerned. I was like, whoa, how am I going to break through the confusion that she has on how to blend properly? But by the second day, like I mentioned, she was doing much better because I switched the levels around. I switched which way I was doing it. I guess that was genius because it worked. So today she's breaking apart made up words with 3 sounds and then manipulating, replacing one sound for another. She's just demonstrating the typical confusions that most students have when they come to me. Things like the L and the R, the F and the R, the I and the E, sometimes the O and the U. And then she's also confused a little bit with things like the I and the L. And that's coming out more in the exercise where it's auditory retrieval. She has to go into her brain and pull out the letter from memory that I've asked her to memorize a sequence of letters, and she often will pull out the I for the L or the L for the I. And that's a visual confusion, right? Because the I looks like an L. They look like each other. It's not that their sounds are similar. Whereas in the auditory discrimination, the L and the R, the sounds that are similar, and they get confused in the auditory discrimination piece. But this is more in the visual discrimination. So she definitely has problems in both areas. But she's loving the visual perception exercise and is making good progress in that. And she's always been good at pattern recognition, so we're just throwing that one in for fun. She's good with it, she has fun with it, and she's making progress through that. So the other thing that we've been working on, I don't know that I mentioned this, is a blending exercise that I do to help with fluency and also with the ability to blend, so you're not going, teaching regressions. When we go at cat, we're teaching the student to regress twice in their reading. And so we don't want their eyes to go back and forth like that. We want them to flow forward. So I do a blending exercise that helps with fluency and with that tracking piece. And so they blend from left to right and move forward through very long nonsensical words that all follow rules, which doesn't usually happen in the real world, but just to teach that fluency and blending and tracking. And she is doing okay with that, but is struggling in the areas that are similar to lots of students. When they get to the M and N, they switch those out often, sometimes right in the middle of the letter. in my vignette playlist on the kindergartner, you'll see that same kind of confusion coming out. It's just a very common confusion that students who struggle seem to have. So, but anyway, that's about it. Tomorrow's the telling day. We'll go ahead and we'll test the reading again tomorrow. And math is doing pretty well, so we're not going to check into that, but we're going to just check the reading tomorrow towards the end of her 3.5-hour sessions tomorrow. So, okay, well, let's see how it goes. We'll see you tomorrow.